As a Korean leader, I think I felt the most proud during COVID. So I don't know if any of you know, but our country, the United Kingdom, did not have a very good start to COVID. And we looked with pride, I think, and sort of envy at the way things happened in Korea. But what I thought was important was Korean reaction and rollout to COVID was actually because of the previous pandemics that had been in the country from SARS and MERS. And I thought it was very interesting how they turned a previous pandemic, took the lessons, learned it, and then improved.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
자기소개와 지금 하시는 활동을 소개 부탁드리겠습니다.
네. 제 이름은 권보라, 보라 권이고 저는 영국에서 사는 Korean British Councillor입니다. 그 시의원.
기자와 에디터 그리고 교사로서의 경험이 정치에 어떤 영향을 미쳤는지.
그 스토리텔링이 되게 중요한 것 같아요. 사람들 만나서 이제 인터뷰를 하면은 질문을 하고 그 사람 듣고 그게 다 결국은 같은 스킬인 것 같더라고요. 그래서 제 전에 했던 일이 지금 하는 일이랑 생각보다 연결이 많더라고요.
정치인이 되기로 결심한 계기는 무엇인지 되게 궁금합니다.
정치에 관심은 있었어요. 관심은 있었지만은 이제 과연 제가 이런 일을 할 수 있을까라고 생각을 하는데 이제 솔직히 동네에서 주위 사람들이 많이 푸시를 하고 이제 응원해 주시고 그랬어요. 그래서 이번에는 안 되면은 이제 뭐 연습식으로 보고 다음에 하면 되겠다. 이제 그렇게 시작한 일이 이제 선거 운동을 하고 사람 이제 교육받고 사람을 만나고 그러니까 성공할 욕심이 생긴 것 같아요. 사실은 한국 사회가 영국에서 생활한 지 이제 별로 얼마 안 됐어요. 그러니까 미국에 비하면은 뭐 이민자들도 사회가 작고 그렇기 때문에 그런 게 없어가지고 그 중에서 제가 조금이라도 앞서 나가고 그런 게 생각보다 영향이 되게 큰 것 같더라고요. 그래서 그거를 통해서 저희 영국에 있는 젊은 한국 학생들이나 이제 그 여성분들이 그거에 대해서 힘을 이제 가졌으면은 그게 제일 보람된 일이라고 생각합니다.
공직자 말고 사람 권보라로서 요즘 가장 소중한 건 무엇인가요?
건강인 것 같습니다. 무엇보다도 저희들이 오래 사는 거를 원치만은 편하게 아픔 없이 그게 사는 게 제일 중요하다고 생각해서 제가 사실 정치인으로서 그쪽도 일을 맡았어요. Public Health, Adult Social Care, How to Live Longer, Better. 그게 저희 일이 있기 때문에 그거에 대해서 생각하고 노력을 많이 하고 있어요.
네, 저희 재외동포 청년들이 이제 권보라님처럼 이렇게 정치인 커리어에 대해서 꿈꾸는 그런 청년들이 많잖아요. 이분들한테 혹시 모티베이션 메시지 있다면요. 네, 부탁드리겠습니다.
관심이 조금이라도 있으면은 그쪽에 가서 이제 알아보고 사람 만나고 대화하는 게 중요하다고 생각해요. 꼭 그 길을 처음부터 안 골라도 아니 뭐 관심이 있다, 뭐 더 알고 싶다. 그다음에는 이제 특히 그 뒤에서 푸시해주고 응원해주는 사람이 굉장히 중요해요. 혼자 하는 일이 아니기 때문에 이제 혼자서 그냥 생각만 하지 말고 사람들을 가서 만나서 그냥 관심이 있다. 이렇게 표현부터 시작이 되는 것 같아요.
저희가 준비한 거 따로 있거든요. 네.
우와.
네.
우리 모두 Koreans.
My name is Kevin Park, and I'm not really that Korean. So when you asked, like, what are the Korean traditions, I was like, oh my goodness. I'm looking through my phone, looking for Korean traditions. Right. I am the only Korean American politician north of LA County in California. But I never really felt part of the Korean community. I wasn't born in Korea. I don't speak Korean well enough. I didn't live in Korea long enough. But When the Korean community embraced me because I said, I learned about your Liberation Day. I learned, in fact, because I needed to parse as more Korean than Korean people, I learned more about Korean history than a lot of people in Korea knew. Finally,
Zero.
I will let you support me.
Can you introduce yourself and what are you doing?
Hello, my name is Kevin Park, and I'm a council member from the city of Santa Clara, which is at the heart of Silicon Valley. But people who've been to Silicon Valley know that Silicon Valley has no heart, but here I am.
You was working for like 13 years in Silicon Valley. So how did it affected your political career?
So it turns out I'd never wanted to be a politician, but as an engineer, as a scientist, I love complaining, all right? And I've been in Silicon Valley long enough that I was here before the dot-com bubble and during the dot-com bubble and then after the dot-com bubble. So I can tell you how the companies changed, I can tell you how the people changed, I can tell you how engineering changed. So yes, it turns out that Silicon Valley became a very different place. Like it started with companies like Microsoft and companies like Apple and companies like IBM. You had a lot of old people with a lot of experience. And then we got replaced with companies like Google and Facebook and and Netflix, which are very young people. The CEOs are very young; they're just out of school, and it turns out that younger people don't really respect experience. And it turns out that when you don't respect experience, then you lose a lot of things. You make a lot of mistakes. You get this culture of move fast and break things, and it turns out that moving fast and breaking things costs a lot of money. But when you have a lot of money, you don't care. But I think that we need a little bit of, like, anyone can make something work, but we need to get back to the policy of we're going to make things, we're not going to just try to get them to work, we're going to try to make things that do not break. And that requires a little bit more experience, a little bit more care.
Okay, thank you so much. And you live in an area where it's only like 1% of Koreans, right?
About
1% of
Yeah.
Koreans. So how is it doing the political job in this type of area?
So I'm going to say a couple things about Korean.
Yes.
Korean population is actually very small, but because I'm Korean, they're very vocal. I hear about so many different problems, but I think that what Koreans need to realize is we need to work together on this. One person, especially on a council that requires a majority vote, cannot do anything. But a community, we can get things done. And I feel that the way that we need to show strength, especially when our numbers are so small, is that we work together.
Okay, so you met a lot of like politicians like from all around the world. Are you proud of all our overseas Koreans community?
So I'm going to say yes. Yes, I am.
Is it your first time in this forum? Or
No, I've been here for
Oh my God!
Hi.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Okay,
Yeah.
so what do you expect from this like forum for this time?
Okay, I just want to see more people, the people I knew before. I want to make new connections, and when we go back, I want to come back and I want to work on things together as a group. That's what I expect. I expect that the cohorts that we have to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then when we have time, when we work on things, when we have an idea that we want to focus on, that we can all get something done together.
Okay, you started like rocket science, right? And you became a politician. Can you tell me the reason why?
So the short answer is, as a scientist, as a rocket scientist, you always look at the things that are broken. We have a rule that says things that are broken should look broken. Things that are broken, like we either fix them or we put them aside. And when it comes to civics, it turns out that view of let's fix the problems or let's put them aside. In civics, there are very few problems you can put aside. So the charge becomes let's fix them. And that's where my attitude of, okay, nobody else is fixing them. What can I do to encourage them to fix things? And then I got elected and I realized, oh, I was trying to get somebody else to do the work and they picked me. So it's kind of a bad thing.
What can you say to our younger overseas Korean generation? Maybe any motivational speech or something?
First of all, talk to me. I will help you. You want to go higher than me? I will lift you up. Right? But more importantly, don't worry about math. Don't worry about science. Math is not the thing that's going to make you better. Science is not the thing that's going to make you better. Your ability to communicate with other people, your ability to work with other people, your ability to help other people get something done, that's more important than math. If you want to focus on a career, even an engineering career, don't be the smartest engineer, be the most helpful engineer.
Oh my God, thank you so much for this inspiration, and I think we all got motivated from your words, and we cannot let you go with empty hands. Thank you so much for being such an inspiration
thank you.
and motivation for all the Korean, overseas Korean community.
감사합니다.
Yeah.
우리
모두
모두
Korean.